Let's talk about our first game. Thunder Road Vendetta is published by Restoration Games by designers Dave Chalker, Brett Myers, Noah Cohen, Rob Davio, Justin D. Jacobson, Jim Kiefer, who was the original designer of Thunder Road in 1986, and Brian Neff, with art by Marie Bergeron and Garrett Kaider.
That's a lot of people. And I immediately want to bring up a disclaimer. So this is the weirdest disclaimer I have had to do. But it is a sort of bias, right? So Dave Chalker, who is, I believe, the lead designer on this game, is the son of Jack L. Chalker, who was a early science fiction author, and early, I guess, 70s, so not really that early, but like, you know, that was the heyday of science fiction, I guess, coming up. And it's one of the first sci-fi authors that I have ever read. With apologies to Dave, I don't think it holds up today. But a lot of it was very, I think, innovative and imaginative for the time. And for like a 12-year-old kid, you know, it's like mind-blowing, you know, some of the stuff that I read. So it made me fall in love with sci-fi, and therefore holds a special place in my heart. I know, right? So,
but this game is not sci-fi.
No, this isn't. And this isn't obviously by the same person. It's by the son of the person. So it's a weird kind of bias disclaimer, but it is a bias. There
was an excitement there, definitely, from you when this game was designed by Dave Chalker, and you were like, that's the son of Jack Chalker. So,
yeah. Weird thing to admit to, but there we go. Having said that, probably not a necessary admission, because I feel like we are out of lockstep with the majority opinion on Thunder Road Vendetta. We did not love this game.
No, sadly not.
So what it broadly is kind of and as all restoration games, you know, they do have that sort of edge because they are basically taking older designs and giving them a new zhuzh and bringing them back. Hence restoration games, right? And so this does have that kind of feel, like all of their games do, you know? But it's also a game that I felt like it wasn't doing anything that I wanted, right? The broad gist of it is that it's a silly racing game where cars explode, and they do, right? It fulfills that part of the remit. The cars definitely go bang. Having said that, mine didn't. Not a single car of mine exploded, and I didn't.
Did it not? Not once in the game.
Not once in the game. Not one of my cars exploded.
All your cars were alive at the end of the game.
I didn't win.
That's impressive, though.
Right? And here's another disclaimer: we just played this once because we played it once and we were like, okay, this is so clearly not something that we want to play again.
Yeah, it didn't feel like the kind of game where we thought, if we play this multiple times, we'll get a better impression of it. It felt like the kind of game where we'd gone, okay, we understand what this game wants to do. And it's maybe not for us. Yeah, so
I guess I want to get into some of the finer points in terms of, like, sure, it wasn't for us, but I can appreciate a lot of the stuff that it's doing. And I kind of want to break it down as well and go into where it's not for us and what other alternatives I would consider if you feel like what we're saying resonates. One of the key things about Thunder Road Vendetta is that it wants to be silly, right? And that's neat. I like silliness. I like silly things happening, right? But for me, I want, and this is kind of a weird way of looking at it, but I want the silliness to not be something I have to force. And that's kind of how I felt, right? Like,
is it like when someone explains a joke, then it's not funny anymore?
Maybe there is an element of it where, like, I have to deliberately engage in the silliness for the game to kind of reach its full potential. Does that make sense? Like, the silliness doesn't happen organically. I have to actively take a step to be silly. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's more like when someone thinks they're funny because they put their child's hat on their head and they're like, look how zany I am because I put my child's hat on my head. It's like that, no?
Yeah, that Michael Scott moment, right? Like,
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah,
like
probably.
The American Office,
Sure.
where he thinks is funny, but actually just cringy.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't find this film cringy, though.
No, okay, but I was trying to relate to what you were saying.
I thank
about
you.
The
I
children
appreciate
and the
it. Well, I was trying to relate to what you were saying.
Okay, so
it's hard.
It is.
Isn't being social hard?
Is so difficult. Right.
Oh.
No.
Anyway.
In Thunder Road Vendetta, you are trying to be the first person to reach the finish line. Haha, but there's a trick. You have 3 cars instead of 1. You have a tiny, dinky, small car. You have a medium car. And you have a big car. And one of the neat features of the game is that the cars stack on top of each other.
Now, but why do they do that, Efka?
Why do they do that? Because anytime you drive into a space, and you will often do this, that has another car, you are causing a slam. And then you will roll 2 dice, one of them which will say whether it's the bigger car or the smaller car that is getting slammed, and the other one will say, the first die will say whether it's the top car or the bottom car that's getting slammed, and the other die will say which
this
direction.
Die.
Yeah, this die. And the other one will say which direction the car is going to, referring to the chevron spaces around it, and you go, okay, so I drove into a car and it propelled that car a little bit further or a little bit backwards. What's the issue with that, right? Well, the fun of Thunder Road Vendetta is, and I think this is why you would want to play it with the maximum player count, because there's the most things on the board, is when things slam into each other and move into another place, they can cause chain reactions. And those chain reactions can become absolutely preposterous.
There was once in our game where it just kept chaining back and forth. Your car kept bouncing from one car to another.
And sometimes a third car got involved, and it just kept going and going and going. And of course, there are a lot of things that just eliminate your car outright. They just go oh, okay, I've smashed into one car, that car smashed into another car, that third car smashed into the border of the board, which means they are eliminated. That car's gone. Yay, fun, right? There's also other things. There are helicopters that you can summon and put on the board, and if anything moves into the helicopter's space, that's fine, I think. But if you end your turn with the helicopter, it gets removed. Yeah.
The blade spin. Sorry, I was desperate to say that. The blade spin on the helicopter. The wheels don't go round on the cars, but the blade spin on the helicopter.
I was somewhat disappointed the wheels don't go round. But the kind of tiny car meeples, we can forgive that.
All right, but we've all had micro machines.
Yeah. Okay. Look, this is an affordable game. Let's not, impose micro machine prices on it.
I don't know how much they were because I never had them myself, but I've played with them.
Wow. Did you grow up in the Soviets like me, where you were not allowed? Yeah, nailed to the ceiling. No. Okay. Yeah. So, and that's kind of broadly Thunder Road Vendetta. The objective is that one of your cars has to reach the end, right? And generally the way you move these cars is that you roll 4 dice, I think, and you will assign 3 of those dice to the car, and 1 you can assign to a special ability that will let you nitro or maybe repair a car if it's taken damage. And so you have some kind of maneuverability in terms of which car, how far you want to move. So maybe you have one car that's racing really far ahead and another car that you kind of don't care so much about, but maybe it's smashing into other cars and causing all kinds of mayhem, distracting your opponents. There's things, right, that you can kind of do with these dice. It's not just roll a die and move that car that many spaces, but it is a roll and move game where you effectively are rolling dice and moving things that many spaces. But yeah, the fact that it's 3 cars and you only have to go 1 to the finish line, that's kind of interesting. and it gives you like different ways you can approach the game. But ultimately, what the game is moving your car into another car and then rolling a die and seeing where which car ends up, and maybe like it ends up on a token on the road, and that token says, oh, it's a mine, and things explode, and or maybe they end up in an obstacle, which means that they are removed. That's what you're trying to do in the game, right? And I think that's where, for me, it kind of fell down, because if I just tried to race, you know, the game wouldn't be fun.
I see.
But like, because I try to hit a car into another car, I roll some dice and hilarity ensues. And like, maybe I'm just that type of person, but the hilarity just wasn't ensuing. Like, it wasn't boring. I don't want to be mean to this game, because like, I respect what it's doing, but I wasn't like, oh wow, so many clever things are happening. Some clever things were happening. Like, I don't want to give this game a disservice, because you can think strategically about like where you're moving and how much you're moving. And there's elements to the board. Like, for example, if you're driving on tarmac, you can get like a speed boost, you know, but staying on the tarmac permanently is hard. But maybe like you can finagle it somehow. So there are interesting elements to it. It's just that, like, I felt like there wasn't enough of that zhuzh for me. And the silliness of the dice only carried it that far. Whereas, like, other racing games that are maybe even, like, sometimes less focused on silliness, you know, even games like Heat, you know, can sometimes have these very silly moments that just happen organically. You weren't trying to invoke the silliness, but the silliness happened anyway. And I think that, to me, is a lot more interesting. I don't know. How did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, you know how I feel about forced jollity as well. So,
okay.
But I didn't hate this game, but I was trying to play it as a straight racing game, but not on purpose, not to kind of derail what the game wanted to do. I just thought, oh, it's a racing game. I need to get to the end. And I immediately almost lost one of my cars. And unexpectedly, like, I tried to do a thing to hit another car, and it didn't work because I ended up being hit off the track instead. And I thought, oh, that's what this game is doing, right? So I think not how I felt about the game, but what I was doing in the game and what I wanted to achieve out the game changed as we went along. And I like the way that you have 4 dice and you can only place 1 die per car. So you're thinking, okay, where am I most effective? Like, how will this die be the most effective for me for which car? Like, do I try and speed forward more? Because I've rolled a 6. Okay, do I try and speed forward more, or do I try and catch up with the one that's at the back? Like, what is the most tactical and most efficient way that I will get one of my cars over the finish line? So I think I was playing it slightly differently from you, because I was still playing it as I don't want the jollity, just I'm going to get to the end.
I mean, I was trying to win as well, right? Like, give me some credit.
I think I lost 2 of my cars.
I think so,
ended up with 1 car at the end.
And I think what was interesting was that at the end, there was like some sort of almost like a kingmaker situation.
Yes, but I felt like that throughout most of the game, if I'm honest. Please continue your point.
Like, the situation we ended up in is that, like, I thought that like a third person that was playing us was going to win unless you did something where I would get ahead, but I needed to commit to something as well, like hitting this car there or there. So I committed this to this plan. And then what I didn't realize is that actually what I wasn't doing wasn't letting myself win. And then, like, extra steps happened that I couldn't predict anyway, right? It was you that won and me that was king making that third person that should have ultimately won.
I think that is a good point about extra steps that you weren't expecting.
Yeah, right. Because it wasn't quite king-making.
I did not think I was going to win that game. Like we were in a position where I was sure the other person was going to win because there was only so much that you can do, and that I could do, like with my cars. But then everything changed right at the end. Completely everything changed.
It was an exciting finish. I have to give it that.
It was an exciting finish. Yeah. And an unexpected finish. And I like that about it.
What I am not going to give this game is a good rulebook certificate because I for a game that is fundamentally very simple, because it is effectively roll 4 dice, assign them to 3 cars and 1 special ability. The way the rules are presented is kind of mystifying and hard to picture in your head. I haven't quite encountered this before because it was a rule book that made it quite hard to understand very simple game concepts because of the minutia that is important, that you kind of have to be aware of, because but this works like that specifically and this works like that specifically. So there's simple rules, but there's a lot of little extra steps, like you can only assign 1 dice to 1 car unless there are no more cars that you can assign dice to, and in which case you can assign a second die to 1 car, but it will only move 1 space, but then can it benefit or not benefit from this bonus, and on and on and on, right? So there's a lot of that going on, which means that whatever layout they chose to deliver that in, or not layout, the structure, right? The way they decided to present the rules, or this rule is explained first, this second, this third, made it very hard for me to grasp how to actually how this game plays in practice, to the point where I had to watch a rules tutorial, read the rulebook twice, and I still quite wasn't there. But then we sat down and played it, and I was like, oh, okay, it's actually really simple. I was overthinking this. So yeah, a bizarre moment in learning this game. And also, I think there are still ambiguities within the rulebook in terms of how certain situations pan out. It's not perfect.
You've been enjoying the Talk Cardboard podcast, but you can't enjoy it anymore unless you subscribe. Full episodes can be found on your favourite podcast app, and bonus episodes are available to anyone supporting us on Patreon. Patreon.com/no pun included. See you soon.